If Max Verstappen was under pressure heading into the Canadian Grand Prix, you wouldn't know it from the smirk on his face, but that calm cracked, briefly, in a testy exchange with Sky Sports' Ted Kravitz, who dared to poke the bear where it hurts most. Red Bull's inner chain of command. The tension wasn't over his controversial Barcelona penalty or the looming threat of a race ban. No, this clash revolved around something far more delicate. Who inside Red Bull gave the call that triggered the chaos? Let's rewind. Lap 63, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Verstappen goes off track while scrapping with George Russell. Rejoins ahead. Red Bull, under the guidance of newly promoted Steven Knowles, head of sporting regulations, tells him to give the place back. Seems simple, right? Only Verstappen, in a move that's still setting Twitter on fire, slows just enough to bait Russell, then accelerates mid-corner and hits him. The stewards slap Max with a 10-second penalty and 3 license points, edging him just 1 step from a race ban. But here's the kicker. Post-race, the FIA ruled he never needed to give the place back. The original collision was fair game. The second, pure overkill. And that brings us to Ted Kravitz, who tried to raise the obvious question in Montreal. Was the call from Knowles the wrong one? Let's be clear. Kravitz didn't accuse Knowles of incompetence. He asked reasonably whether the communication between the pit wall and driver needs refining now that Jonathan Wheatley, the team's seasoned strategist, has left for Sauber. But Max didn't take it that way. It's not really nice to try to single out a person, Verstappen snapped. That's never the case. We look at it as a team. Kravitz pushed back, calmly explaining he was naming Knowles as context, just as Wheatley's name was commonly mentioned in the past. But Verstappen wouldn't have it. You mentioned him, so we're talking about him. You're singling him out. And just like that, the icy wall came up. I don't need to discuss that here. If we ever look at things we can do better, we do that like every other team. But I'm not going to stand here and say who was at fault exactly. Here's where things get interesting. Verstappen is famously combative on track and increasingly off track too. But this exchange felt different. He wasn't defending his actions. He was defending his team's inner sanctum. The dynamic has changed at Red Bull. Wheatley is gone. Knowles is new. Max is closer than ever to the center of Red Bull's power structure, and perhaps more exposed. Was he shielding Knowles or protecting a fragile team structure that's already cracking under McLaren's dominance, Ferrari's chaos, and the public pressure of maintaining Red Bull's throne? One thing's certain, Verstappen doesn't like anyone shining a spotlight on Red Bull's internal politics, even when those politics may be influencing on-track decisions. When Verstappen tells the media, "We all live and learn," what he's really saying is this: back off. Don't ask what's happening inside the tent. We'll deal with it, and you won't like what happens if you push further. That's not just classic Max. That's power play Max. He's not just racing anymore. He's protecting turf. And in a championship battle that's tighter, nastier, and more political than ever, that tells us everything. Got thoughts on Verstappen's pit wall politics? Was Ted right to bring up Knowles, or did he cross a line? Drop your take in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Paddock Insider for the only F1 coverage that isn't afraid to question the untouchables.